Hey, fellow wanderers. Welcome back to the Postmodern Gypsy Podcast.
Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep into some truly enchanted territory today with our brilliant guest, Julian. We're exploring the incredible insights from Jordan Poole's captivating book, Enchanted by Mount Vernon, Where America Found Its Home. Julian, this isn't just a book about bricks and mortar, is it?
Not at all, Theodore. Poole, who served as the manager of restoration at Mount Vernon, invites us into this neutral territory Nathaniel Hawthorne talked about, where history and imagination just collide. He's taking us behind the white walls to the real heart of the place.
And right off the bat, he drops a bombshell. He's encountering all these ladies at Mount Vernon. You know, the ones who always seem to have their family tree tattooed onto their foreheads, subtly implying he's just, and I quote, white trash from the Appalachian Mountains, only to discover years later that he's a direct descendant of John Washington. The irony is delicious. His dad's response when Poole says he wished he'd known so he could have gone toe-to-toe with the blue blood braggarts, well, that and $1 will get you a cup of coffee. A perfect grounding dose of reality for a historical mic drop, right? History as a way of stirring our imaginations, and that's precisely what Poole explores with John Washington, George's ancestor. He wonders, what if John had ventured up to the future site of D.C., gazing upon those rolling hills beside the Potomac? What would that have been like?
It's a fantastic starting point for a creative nonfiction journey. Poole takes that what if and spins a tale where John Washington, a seasoned sailor, encounters treacherous North Sea crossings and a fateful sandbar near Maddox Creek. It literally grounds him in Virginia.
And not just any sandbar. It's the one that changes his life, leading him to Virginia, his mother's cousin Nathaniel Pope, and Pope's daughter Anne. But before that, he has this unsettling encounter with Elizabeth Richardson, a Quaker woman who seems to see things.
Elizabeth Richardson, the original ghost of the story. She predicts the Sarah Arch will founder, and it does. Then John's ship runs aground on a shoal that isn't on any chart. It hints at powers beyond reason, influencing destinies. Later, she haunts his dreams, warning of fire and a, quote, man who bears the pig farmer's name, a clear nod to Bacon's rebellion.
So Elizabeth Richardson is basically Mount Vernon's resident psychic, giving John Washington visions of a future D.C. with massive white structures and a towering obelisk, even showing him the exact spot where Mount Vernon would later stand. Talk about spoiler alert for the ages.
Exactly. Poole emphasizes that these visions, whether fever dreams or prophecy, guide John to make his life in Virginia, setting the stage for future generations and Mount Vernon itself. It's the ultimate origin story rooted in the very land.
Transitioning from grand historical what-ifs to the economic realities, Poole frames his time at Mount Vernon as being between movements, like a pause in a symphony. He felt the subtle shift in the air before the 2008 economic crash, the strain on the floorboards, the tension between departments.
He nails it. Cultural institutions, including Mount Vernon, were operating on assumptions of stability that were about to shatter. The National Trust for Historic Preservation, the very organization dedicated to saving historic places, had to sell its own historic D.C. headquarters and move to the suburbs. The symbolism was not subtle.
It's a powerful metaphor, isn't it? The keys of Mount Vernon making their own symphony each morning, moving from night's reverence to day's choreographed chaos. And then there's the gum. Katie, the interpretive staff member, cataloging 3 scuff marks on the paneling, and the eternal enemy, gum.
Oh, the gum. Imagine finding a perfectly preserved pink bubblegum stretched across one of the balusters of the grand staircase, like some kind of deranged modern art installation. It's the silent battle between preservationists and the sheer, sticky force of humanity.
And this leads us to the hidden room, discovered when an HVAC worker put his foot through a garret ceiling. Poole finds himself crawling through this secret attic space, imagining a young enslaved boy named Marcus using it as a hiding spot from chores, which, let's be honest, we all would have done.
Marcus's voice is brilliantly captured, narrating his experience up here right this minute, creeping around on my hands and knees across these rough old boards. He feels the heat, the dust, the fear of falling through the fancy plaster. He's got to move real careful like, 'cause one wrong step and my foot liable to go straight through that fine plaster.
It's both a mischievous escape and a profound observation point. Marcus eavesdrops on conversations, learning about the world from his secret perch, feeling tall as a pine tree, even when he's crouching down, small as a field mouse. He's got that raw, observant wit. He knows the general called for the carpenter to check for loose boards because of him.
And then he's saved by the arrival of new visitors and Lady Washington. But the real lesson comes from Old Westford, who catches him and teaches him about seeing versus looking, about the stories written in the wood and brick. It transforms his secret space into a school of sorts, showing how knowledge, used proper-like, could be a kind of freedom of its own.
From hidden rooms to actual ghosts, Poole touches on the common belief in spectral encounters. He mentions his own experiences at Mount Vernon, like hearing footsteps in the dining room, attributed by staff to the general still inspecting the house. Very hands-on management, even after death.
The tomb call is particularly eerie. His phone rings showing tomb on the caller ID, and it's not a voice, but a symphony of static, almost rhythmic. Kathy, his colleague, casually explains it's a severed line, but Poole feels it's like someone trying to communicate through a broken connection. And when he says general, the static stops. Then, 3 distinct bursts of interference. Chilling.
Perhaps George was just trying to leave a very important voicemail. This leads into the gardener's house, initially a slave hospital. Poole and his mentor, Orlando Rideout V, who sounds like a superhero, uncover a layer of soot on the fireplace bricks that dates back to its time as a hospital.
This is where Nell's story, an enslaved healer, takes center stage. The soot from healing fires is a direct link to her, to the aromatic steam rising from her carefully tended kettles, carrying memories of Africa's traditions. She's defying death itself, tending the fire with ancient knowledge, in contrast to the often brutal, ineffective white doctors and their mercury treatments.
The way Poole describes Nell's knowledge of herbs and rituals like sassafras root placed near the hottest part where the spirits of fever could be burned away makes her seem incredibly powerful in her own way. She's treating physical and spiritual ailments, navigating a world that denies her humanity but can't erase her wisdom.
And it all culminates when the hospital is converted for the gardener. Nell dismantles her carefully constructed hiding places, moving her sacred tools. The hearth, where the same fire burning, adding logs carefully so the flame never fully died, is finally extinguished. It feels like a death, but she knows the true sanctuary is in knowledge and traditions, not the building.
Poole then shifts to the essence of places, arguing that scent is the most direct route to emotion and memory. He connects this to the scent of Mount Vernon itself, aged pine heartwood warmed by sunlight, that undefinable perfume of history.
He gives us a hilarious anecdote about the National Treasure 2 filming, where he's in a cherry picker at midnight, ensuring Hollywood doesn't accidentally pull the front off America's most sacred home. The whole scene is set against an Easter blood moon hanging over the Potomac like an omen. Classic movie magic meets historical preservation.
And it leads to a truly personal discovery, the scent of a gentleman's cologne in Washington's study, clean and citrusy. Years later, he's at Caswell Massey's shop and recognizes the scent instantly. Number 6, Washington's known favorite. Talk about a sensory echo from the past. George was definitely feeling fancy.
Number 6 becomes a symbol of the new nation's refinement and independence. Washington chose an American-made fragrance, sophisticated yet unpretentious, reflecting the balance he sought for the Republic. It's a statement, neither too bold nor too subtle, as Benjamin Franklin supposedly remarked.
The book also highlights Mount Vernon's unique postal status with its own zip code. Poole introduces Sue Keeler, the operations secretary, a woman who embodies living institutional memory. She gives him a fascinating look into Mount Vernon's social tapestry and unwritten rules, including the formal staff lunches of yesteryear.
Sue's stories are gold, like the curator who wore white gloves to lunch or the horticulturist who snuck garden clippings into his breast pocket. It paints a picture of a tight-knit, albeit hierarchical, community that predates modern preservation bureaucracy.
And back to the Gardner house, where Orlando and Poole uncover Nathan's house penciled onto the back of a piece of trim. The simple personal inscription sparks the story of Nathan and Sarah Johnson, formerly enslaved people who returned to Mount Vernon as free employees.
Their story is powerful. Nathan, with his butler's precision, and Sarah, with her cooking skills, transformed their small cottage into a home, then into a thriving business, the first restaurant at an American historic site run by African Americans. It's a testament to dignity, skill, and the creation of a new Mount Vernon where freedom could mean building something lasting.
Poole's own hallowed ground moment occurs when his truck sinks into what he believes might be the 18th century near the Pioneer Farm. While waiting for rescue, he discovers crosses carved into ancient oak trees by Union soldiers during the Civil War, marking Mount Vernon as neutral, sacred ground.
It's a humbling, unplanned discovery. Then in the lower garden seed house, he finds century-old graffiti, signatures of Union soldiers, many of whom later perished at Andersonville Prison. God bless the Union. These private declarations remind him that the physical evidence is concealed from view. This creative work ensures their story endures. He's preserving memories that weren't meant to be seen, but felt.
Moving to the socialites and diplomacy, Poole recounts accidentally crashing a Luxembourg embassy reception, mistaking it for Croatian. He shook hands with dignitaries, possibly including the Grand Duke, before realizing his mistake. A classic whoops moment in D.C. social circles.
It's peak Washington, D.C. absurdity. He then encounters Eleanor Thornton's perfectly preserved Middleburg home, a time capsule from the Kennedy years. Every object, every arrangement is precisely as it was, reflecting a diplomatic readiness, even decades after the parties ended.
And the ultimate social event, the Kennedy dinner at Mount Vernon in 1961, Jackie Kennedy, with her effortless grace, orchestrating everything, from the guest list to the menu and the entertainment, even having Tiffany & Company design the tent in Tiffany blue.
It's a masterclass in soft power. Margaret Ainsworth, a fixture in D.C. society, observes every detail from the flowers to the seating arrangements. She notes how Jackie, despite her official smile, discreetly manages the event, ensuring everything runs perfectly, even when muskets are fired and smoke engulfs reporters.
Finally, Poole connects the Purple Heart medal, weighing just 1.12 ounces, to the immense weight of sacrifice, particularly through his grandfather's D-Day experience and the passing of his family's connection to John Washington. He encounters a wounded veteran at Mount Vernon whose tears in Washington study become a poignant moment.
That interaction inspires the story of Jim Sullivan, a bass player from Harrisburg who trades his musical dreams for the Marines after 9/11. He hates the military but finds rhythm in its chaos, learning the choreography of killing and the music of violence. He loses a leg, finds music again and Walter Reed, and ultimately a new song to sing.
Poole skillfully weaves together these disparate threads, showing how Mount Vernon isn't just a static shrine, but a living document, constantly edited and annotated by generations, each leaving their mark, whether in physical layers or in tangible stories.
He reminds us that the land remembers everything. The footsteps of Native Americans, the tobacco seeds, the foundations of marble buildings. And through his work, he ensures that something of what you know now will always remain, waiting to be rediscovered by those who care to look.
Jordan Poole's Enchanted by Mount Vernon, Where America Found Its Home, is a fascinating journey through history, memory, and the enduring spirit of a truly remarkable place. Share this episode with someone who loves a good story, a good laugh, and a deep dive into history.